A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to HJN Super Foam Flying. And now, for today, we're going to bring ourselves something that's a little more rival-esque. One of the very first that truly defined a whole generation worth of blasters. Here we have the rival Zeus, the first ever of its kind. And that's not to say that the Apollo, which I currently have as the Battle Camo variant, was certainly the first one ever, because it also came out at the same time as the Zeus did in mid to late 2015. But I'm mostly talking about the fact that this was indeed the first to ever come around. As the Apollo I have, like I said, is the Battle Camo variant, and therefore not the original color variant like what it originally came with. But when it comes to that, I guess other than the fact that this is older than all the other rival blasters that I currently own, the Zeus sure is quite a good blaster, at least for the time period that it came out in, because rival blasters seem to have gotten so much better since then. Like, way too much better. The rival line really is as abundant as many others out there that we seem to be getting in recent years, including the Super line, which includes the flip shot blasters like what I'm pointing at right here, and not to mention the Ultra line. So, Ultra, Super, or Elite 2.0, pretty much. And not to mention several others have also come around since then. So, it's important to note that while Rival may have been a pretty big precursor to how abundant most lineups seem to be getting, especially much more recent ones, this sure does have a pretty good thing in mind, to having a good sense of power. The usage of a 12-round magazine, and not to mention 6 C batteries, which you can load from back here with this little compartment that spans throughout this whole part of the blaster. That's at least 2/3 of it. But of course, yeah. By all means, I certainly am saying that this is a great blaster, at least for a starter. One that started up a whole generation, one that started up a whole new lineup, which became probably one of the best known overnight, and certainly one that does have itself some good functionality as a whole. But alongside the Apollo, the Zeus would in fact be the first for a while, until others would come in like the Atlas and the Chaos in 2016, which I've done a review on that one as well, so be sure to check that out on the channel if you haven't already. And many others would also follow in. Up until we have some of the more recent portions of the rival line as a whole. So, in any case, I sure am expecting a lot more to turn up as time comes around. And then, of course, you got this usage of the clip coming outside like so. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to get out. It takes a little time to get used to, but then, of course, simply reload it in like so. And you're pretty much all good to go. We also can't forget about the safety switch right here, which can prevent the second trigger from being pushed, which would probably kill the battery power over time. And of course, when you're ready, just simply push it up and you're ready. So, with that in mind, that pretty much concludes this whole entire thing. It sure is a good blaster. It sure does have a nice capacity, being that, well, it's one of the only ones out there that could have 12-round magazines. But there have been several others since then. We of course can't forget about how the Chaos was able to change the game by introducing a high-capacity magazine, as well as a rechargeable battery pack, which was optional, but you could in fact pick one of those up, if you so chose to do so. But by all means, the Zeus is still a pretty good pick-me-up that I was actually able to get on eBay, used, but at a good price of around 20 bucks, which is a bit lower than how it was when it originally sold off in 2015, and a bit lower than I actually was anticipating for an older blaster. So, when you really get down to it, it sure is quite a nice buy, by any means. But yet, that doesn't necessarily mean that I should have to stop doing a lot of this kind of stuff, because I do in fact have lots more to talk about here relating to Nerf. So do expect tons of reviews to show up. But if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.